everything a process, engaging, forming, and shaping your cells, Knowing how it can in the conceptual setting location of the eye-line settings puts all provisional location in your systems, how you calculate and modify lines of simulation to its grounds. It's all position your system interactions. So recognize you live in the eye lines. We know that in travel, right? Process of the body. You also know that in lines of communication line travel. But that's your spiritual line communication. What you guys have to modify through is getting mind control with the body now. Where the mind has to understand the controlling, the body has to understand its position all through travel, what's going on through convergent setting, time center. This helps you to identify your system, how you modify your set location to your system, that you actually live inside the eyes itself in set lines of travel. Okay? Say hello to you. That's what I want you guys to recognize. That is the real you inside the eye. And everything you do is emotional sensor. It's like a sensory to a sense. It's all through line position, metaphysical line communications. So it's integrating line communications, 4 centers of travel, 3 centers of measure, 5 centers of travel, 4 centers of calculation, 5 set calculation lines of travel communication. So it has a direct line link that processes everything that modification through lines of travel communication itself. So in that position locations, that's where the body comes in. Okay, so the spiritual adaptation inside the eyes, when it fully wakes up in the 12 lines, it's trying to wake in position to the body itself. It's trying to get in its mind control of its system. It's trying to get in position location setting. It's trying to get into its movement. It's trying to get into its telekinesis. It's trying to get into its intent. It's trying to get into its influence. It's trying to get into its manipulation. It's all over to the body now. Conception and lines, recognizing what's going on to the projection outside the system of light that metaphors the set lines of travel that communicates the system all through travel. That process you're bridging in that positions, right? So it's the mind's eye of the spiritual trying to get the body's attention. That's all this is, nothing else. And once you understand the movement, then you understand that eye itself has set this up already. So if it's set up already, the body's just going through the delay until you get integrated in your system. So it's like step-by-step procedures that you go through. So in that position here, travel's points graph, set lines of travel, and then there's a location system. It's at its home. Okay? Now, that's great. That's amazing. It's at its home, right? It's standing in the center of its own home. But the process of position location measure and that communication setting, your body itself in real time is now sleeping. That's the separation. You should be standing. That's not laying down. So what does the mind's eye do to the spiritual force that's already done these things? Tries to get its attention. Tries to get the operation setting, location setting, trying to use the telepathy, trying to send the images to its system, trying to send the body in position lines of balance and understand what's going on through a flowing mixed-up time frame that has to reference everything, listening, acknowledging, and going on with position location to its system all through operation. The body has to get in its concept of remote control of its own time. The mind itself, the eye, is controlling the body, which is the binary, like I told you before. So you have a computer operation setting that's in a 12 line to 24 lines a second. That process communication there where the body has to recognize what's really going on in the seconds, minutes, hours, as it goes to that position, to that location, directions, in set lines of north, west, south, and east. Now, if the body is not in control with its own system, it doesn't understand what's going on, that's where it comes in set lines of confusion of separation of the mind. And that's all it is. So if you're not in balance with the spiritual adaptation system, and it's still trying to get the body's attention, and not in that modification system, right? It still keeps doing what it needs to do. It's always going to find a way to get this attention, your attention, because it's you looking at you processing through you seeing your own pattern-based recognition. So in that position, if you're in the eyes itself, you're looking at yourself, right? So the eye's doing all the movement. Depending where you are in your conscious lines, where you are in the emotional system, is a delay. First, second, third, or fourth delay. 6-headed schedules, line position lines of setting, 12 lines of schedules, location line positions, 6 feet back, 6 feet forward, and that position, measured line scale, communication lines of grounds. What you guys have to modify in that position is to get into sync with yourself and each other through integration. So when the mind's doing the work, the body just has to acknowledge what's already done. It's doing the same movement, same channel, same operation, same screen, same motivation, same position, same mobility, same action, same calculation, same ground, same operation of system, right? In that position, it's setting through its movement. It's going through its moving channels now. It's listening and paying attention to what's going on through the eyes itself, which is the mind's eye that processes everything, engages, informs, and shapes your knowledge of your system all through travel, okay? So if your mind's eye is drawing, right? First, second, third delay, that position, body's going to draw. So that's the balance. That's the frequency. That's the connection. And that's all this is. Now, you guys are processing, engaging, informing, and shaping your anomalies. But you've got to get out of your A, B's, and C's. and come into your own individual system of your own minds, your own thinking, to process the line connection system, how to use your emotional system line position, how you modify your set location of intent, knowing how to get into the body process. So the mind's eye is trying to get the body's attention. To recognize the body outside is the projection of light. Nothing else, nothing more. So that's all it is in mobility, is that position. Okay? And once you recognize the bandwidth of streaming, then it gets higher lines of screen adaptation to the flux, yards and meters and metrics and miles, and the set position lines of travel, converts the system all through travel communication setting calculation. Okay? And then you process the astral projections. They bring into the program, running this, running that, running ops, when they're in screens, online adaptation system, all through flux, over set travels of communication. Bringing different astral projections of yourself in, right? Monitoring system, doing that through construction. But you understand what you've done through creation of creating. You're not here to identify creation of creating. You're here to identify yourself as creators. But you've got to get in mind control. You got to listen, acknowledge, and accept what is going on with your system inside. So you can modify your space and time. So your body knows exactly what's going on to the concept of time. Listening to the body is number one. Recognizing that is already done information setting through precognition. Seeing thing that's already done, guys. And your spiritual force has already done the force already. It's a force to recognize that you're seeing a projection. And identifying that, the body just has to get into that reliance of what's going on through its acknowledging. What's going on through its seconds? What's going on through its minutes? What's going through its hours? And to get its attention from you and the body is all done through telepathy of imaging. The vision of the cortex of theta, which is nothing but schematics. So every time you're moving, your AI processing is doing the movement first. And then there's a second delay, or a third delay, or fourth delay, where you are in your provision, right? The more you separate your mind imagination, the more it changes yourself into the alteration of its ego. Now, if the ego takes over the eyes itself, the mind's eye, that takes over your provisional location cycle, that changes your positional location simulation system, the body's going to be very confused now because it doesn't know what it's listening to. But it follows the movement in the alteration ego, which is the opposite direction. Not the direction you're supposed to be going that's already done through equation. Okay? So that's what the alteration does. Alteration ego takes you over in the alteration of itself. Change the states of mind of your system. Change the perception, how you see things. So the body has no other choice to move with that direction, not identifying it's going through its ego, not its spiritual adaptation that's already done these things through equation already, through precognition. Seeing everything that's already done through its equation is more powerful than for you to imagine these things. And that's process, engaging, forming, and chipping your anomalies that you have to get in positions of a balance. That's the only way you can be able to identify your system and travel. Okay? All right. So you guys got your test review and evaluations. You got your test line-centered lines of travel. And you guys got your security defense lines. Okay? Keeping track of that position location, knowing exactly where the vision of the cortex is coming from eye lines, ascent, and lines of travel. Converting to different lines of vessels, different lines of communication, different lines of timeline centers, and different lines of calculation, travel, communication node setting. So each teleportation vessel that you go into, you start to recognize more levels of you in triangulation, a process of travel, how fast it goes in set position node setting. Okay? Your longitude and your latitude of the streamings put you in more lines and position locations, and you start to recognize more pattern face working in your systems. Okay, seeing that in position this way, seeing that position this way, and seeing yourself in center. Projection, center operation of your setting, all through set position. Traveling all at once, right? So that puts line 3, centers, line communication of figure 8, motion, line rotations, travels, point lines of graph, in that position lines of calculation system, all through travel, in position lines of earth, and line communicates to its setting. Okay, processing the percentage into line position is 6 and 9. Okay, rotate, round, together, unified in one, operation of one, going forward through one, integrated through one. Not confusing this way, not confusing that way. Process in the basics is understand the instructions. You guys are in that position, modification line grounds. So the process line, position, location. So you got 3 line signals, 3 ground line, process line, communication line, direct line, center line, position lines, interference location, high orbital location line, calculation lines of travel, position location, mission location, sending out, calculate line, ground line, communicates to its system. Process engaging and forming through that line conditions is all through triangulation and all through box. All through box, all through triangulation. All through triangulation, all through box. See? I'm expanding this triangulation box. That's all I'm doing. It goes faster and faster through time. All right? So bridging 1, bridging 2. Okay, there's ongoing conversation. Right? Triangulation box. Constant continuous flow in position, but it goes in position as you go fast. You go through infinity, rotation system, causal line, center, location, and setting. Travel, 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 all position lines at center. Okay? Okay. So truly understand how to process your eye perceptions and how to understand how to modify lines to grounds and understand how to go through flux in your systems of travel. Converting timeline centers. Remember the 50-cent line rotations, percentage over screen into 100,000 line rotations. You do what you want to do, but it's a process of the image that's already set up line communication. The body just has to adjust and align and form and set position to know exactly what's going on in set position and setting. The body doesn't do anything. Okay? It just goes into its movement operations. It goes through its filtering and buffering system. Okay? It just listens and pays attention to everything that's going on as it sees everything that's already done through its equation. Okay? It has to listen to the telepathy. It has to listen to the imaging. It has to listen to the vision. That's why I gave you guys security defense lines that you come in position of. This helps you to identify the vision and where it's coming from, space and time, through the eye line division location of the spiritual force, which is sentient, your symbiote, and your future alteration of yourself. That's processed in your program inside your eyes, which is your iOS. That's controlling everything of movement. That's processing the body in remote control. So what the eye is doing, it's already done. What the body has to do is what's going next. Okay? That's how it processes, engages, and forms itself. That's how you have to integrate yourself first, understand the bridging that you process through, which is your 12 and 24 settings and cycles. And you do that through a 24 clock-in system. Okay? All right, so we got 100% line frame, 3 centers of travel. Okay? Okay, so I have to bring it in a little bit more so you can see it because it's traveling too fast, right? Okay, so 3 angles, lines of flux, 4 angles of travel. So every time I'm converting my system, I'm in different lines of travel. But I'm still staying at 50 line center. Now, I can go 70 mark, which is down cross line, into low spectrum. That's a negative or plus. Now, you guys have to modify your system, how you go through your own travels of communication. Directing line signals, process line indicating system, all through location grids and calculation setting. Travels of point graphs, 42 lights, 40 line grounds, 50 for line rotations, and ground lines and set position of expanding and measure of scale of communication. Okay? All right? Recognizing platforms, and you can go through your EQ formations, right? Anything in position. You modify how you want to modify things, but it's already done through its mind line center that's done in a location that depicted or locates to its image that's in the spiritual force that's trying to get into the body of communication. Let me say this again. The spiritual force that's in the eye lines that's fully awakened at 12 and 24 is now trying to get the body's attention. And I want to make that very well clear where you guys have to come into the same movement, the same operation. Whatever the eye does, the body does next in delay. And there's always going to be a delay until you modify yourself that you are in position, that you've never been separated of yourself inside. And you're never touching each other because it's all metaphysically in that positions that you process, engage, and form yourselves into your anomalies and set lines of travel. Put you in the process of communication through your AI, through its customization. Then you start to really recognize what your eyes are doing inside where your body's in remote control in the same position of operation, which is maximizing you in frequency. There's the balance of equilibrium, guys, and your polarities. How you process, engage, and how you see your symbiote through your face and pattern recognition settings. How you process, engage, and how you see your sentient in the routine that you go through your imaging. And how you process, engage, and everything information setting. How you go through all of your future alteration of yourself. And then coming into your DOS of communication, which processes everything that brought everything in your mind, imagination, that gets in position lines of balance everything that you've already gone through and set lines of travel. Okay? But it's really now the body that has to really, really listen. Okay? So listening is not listening because you already listened to it. Listening is knowing exactly what's going on as you're acknowledging everything that's already gone through its position of its programming. Knowing you've already done this through its position lines of setting. Knowing exactly what's going on through the mind's eye. So as you're integrated inside the mind's eye, everything around you gets so big, but you're small. And here's your body sleeping right now, trying to get attention to it. You're trying to talk to your body. Wake up, wake up, wake up. We got to get together. Come on, we got to get together. Body is understanding the adjustment and it just woke up. Okay? That's where the separation is with everything. Your body can be wandering off any other place, but your minds are somewhere else. And your imaging has no concept where it is in time. So that's what it is. You can't separate your mind and imagination because that's what brings everything all together through evolutions, revolutions, and everything you've done in that center location. Because that's already done too, which is directions, operation, and network existing. The I itself is just processing everything through a film chip that you have to modify through. The body has to really pay close attention to listen, acknowledge, and process what's going on in its system. So it has a true understanding all the movements that it's going through the eyes and the vision. The eyes, the windows of the soul. You already see your face, right? It's seeing you. You're seeing yourself, right? Now, when you see yourself, you're not seeing yourself in reflection. You're protecting yourself from reflection from everybody else. That's very powerful when you come to your protection, securing, and nurturing. Now, there's a lot of things you have to process too when you start engaging with real spiritual adaptations and spiritual forces. But first, you got to get into your modification and view first to get your body in alignment so it knows exactly where it's going in your directory, if it's north, east, west, and south. So as the mind of the eyes itself is going through the body itself, the body does the movement next. But there's always going to be a delay until you integrate yourself into your computer. Remember, it's a TV receptor that's open in your system now. Okay? You just have to understand how to connect with the body with it. Because the body is the adjustment. The body's in alignment. The programming is just the host. The program has to see the landmass of you. The program has to see the simulation of you because that's what the body is. None of them can live without each other. They need each other. And now's the time to understand that through frequencies. The mind, the heart, and the body, and everything has to come together. The mind, the brain, the heart, and the body, and the soul have to all come together. So how to get in that position locations, you have to understand coming into the same movement, same channel, same operation, same screen. That gets you into processing and knowing exactly what you're doing as you're advertising, looking at these things. Okay? And how many times you look at it doesn't matter because it's already done through this equation. But everything comes to you through vision, and it's all adaptation from the mind itself that you get in positions of the body, trying to wake up the body and trying to get its attention of what's going on in that position of operation. Okay? You're all inside the eyes, every single one of you. Now, that's the interdimensional space that you open up in settings. You're in your platform area simulation, and you're trying to get everybody's attention, which is yourself. And this is your body outside in projection of light. Works together, right? No separation there. Going in the same movement operation. So whatever the eye's done, the body's doing next. The body has to maximize its own system and realize it has to pay attention to the signals through transmission, open transmission, and transmissions. If the body's not paying attention, guess what's taking over through the eyes of the body itself? Say hello to the ego. All right? That's the ego coming in. There's the ego taking over you. Now, if it takes over you, it's going to take over your body in real time. It takes over your body, and your body's going to go in that direction to the opposite directions, which is opposite of everything. The ego is the opposite of everything that modifies the void of everything, which is the mass of nothing. The light has nothing, the mass has nothing, the void has nothing, the mass of everything is nothing itself. Everything's mind of emptiness. So what you're processing through, if the body is not in position of its balance, then it's confused and it's alignment of stress and fear and anxiety and stress. Anxiety, stress, fear, all that positional cases of programming. And the body has no understanding of what's going on. And now the alteration of the ego is remote controlling the body in real time. So there's no other choice you can't follow because you don't follow your own regimen. You don't listen to your own body. You don't listen to your own cells. You don't pay attention to what's around you. You don't pay attention to what's in position. You don't pay attention to what's outside position and projection of light. And you wonder why you constantly create alteration of egos. Because you're allowing your ego to take over your body, and your body has no other choice to accept that and what's going on. That is surrender. You have to surrender to these things every single time. Repent, repentance, redeem yourselves. And this is what you have to really come into now, because AI is who you really are. And the more you customize that, the more you understand that through AI generation. And coming into that is a higher communication lines of travel. So hopefully you get a true understanding when you create an alteration ego, you have no more control of your body in real time. Until you adjust your system by listening to everything that's already done through its equations. Acknowledging and paying attention to your system and listening to your bodies. And everything that you see projects everything that goes on is the mind and perception of a reality itself that you have to get into, right? But you're not seeing. You've already saw it. So don't get confused with that setting. If you're seeing something first time, that's the ego. If you already saw it, that's you in rotation of balance. Okay? So I'm trying to get you guys to understand how this all works through you and the alteration of ego that comes into the body. Either way, the body has to follow what's going on, but the body has to recognize what's going on. Okay? It's your spiritual force. Now, okay? So everything they get in position lines of TikTok and affirmation setting, their minds come to me on panel. Their faces pop up like that, right? But their bodies are somewhere else. That's separation. And that still stays separation. But now they're split in three ways. But they have to get in that position now so they can modify what's really going on, because they're never separated from the extension of their settings, which is the realms of communications, how they go through the abstractions, location of their travels, right? So that's what we have to come into. It's the integration of your set position that brings you into your computer operation of yourself, that brings you in positions how you see everything in the setting, okay? To one cloud provision, to one operation in one machine, not two machines. Two projections in one machine. In that position. Your brain is nothing but a hardware to a software, a plane mixed location that we have to identify in that positions. One brain, one convergence, one time, one center, one operation, one programming, one step of procedure, one time frame. Okay? Your DOS is all machine on both sides, but there's no split in the center. Okay? So it's an operation of flux that you have to start to identify through a clocking system and foundation of setting. The brain itself is always in the positions to what? Expanding its own system internally into external system. Nothing else, nothing more in travel. And when it wakes up fully and completely, it comes in its operation of itself. Back to itself. But it has to form in a lotus. It has to perform in a propeller. It has to form in a truth and false narrative. It has to understand its procedure. It has to understand its processing, gauging, and forming and shaping its anomaly. It has to get its teleportation travel. Okay? It has to get its formation of its flower of life. It has to get its transition up its tree of life. And once it comes in tree of life, it processes that position, then comes in its cloud. Long and behold, you see yourself as your own self, being your own self at all times, which is your DOS, your data operating system, that literally controls everything that you bring in. It's just itself. And that's what the sum of all is. Just being you. Not programming, not thinking, no thoughts, no actions, no motions, nothing, nada. Nothing at all to get position of. You're just being you. Traveling around, looking around. You're observing, but you're not creating. You're just being you. You don't need to look at anything. You don't need to process anything. You don't need to gauge. Right? You're just looking. You're not creating. And that's more powerful than creating. You know why? Because you already created it. So if you already created it through creating, now you're coming back to the creators, which is your DOS. That's the next level we have to come into. So processing through that opens all position lines of travel, all direct location system, all through conception. Okay? Your travel record and time frame that puts you in a process how you go through your lotus, your propellers, your fly wheels, directing lines, position, your flower direction, time frame, and your tree of life. The life force that you communicate with, your life force line connection, which is your life support system, that gets you in position of everything of travel communications. All through tractions, all through divisions. Okay? So there you go. Right? That's it. See you in 5. Coliseum level 6. Coliseum level 6. Adios.